Hello, this is Marc McElroy at the Electric Cave Recording Studio, and I've been doing I've been doing these videos. I enjoy doing them, and I've gotten good feedback, and I hope that people enjoy listening and that they're helpful and interesting. But I've been being a little too professorial lately in the videos, so I just want to do one video that's a walkthrough of the studio to show you what's really going on here, show you some stuff that I think is cool, hopefully you think is cool too, and have some fun. Okay, I switched to the handheld. Here's the heart of the matter. This is my mixing console. I've had this for a long time. As a matter of fact, it's a Neotech. People who know Neotech love them. People who don't know them don't know anything about them. I happen to really enjoy this board. I was lucky to come across it. As you notice, it's 16 by 8. And when I bought it, everyone was in the ADAT era in the mid-90s. And no one wanted 16-track boards because everyone was mixing 24 tracks. And so nowadays, it's a perfect digital board. Because we usually only go in 16 tracks on digital boards, and we often mix in the box, which I do quite a bit of. Or if you're mixing out of the box, you can do sub-mixes and such, run some stuff together through the board. There's 8 channels of playback here on the other side. You'll notice that my sends, I use a couple of sends for a return, but they don't get used much. This is where the keyboard lives. So, as I mentioned in another video, monitors, we got Yamaha NS1s, the NS10's cooler big brother, some realistic Minimus for that crappy sound, so you can double check what things are going to sound like on less than ideal playback. We got the Hula Girl here. If the Hula Girl's dancing, then your bass is happening. These are Mackie PA speakers, slightly modified. You notice that the bass ports have been jammed up, and that kind of has made them usable for mixing as well as just high volume monitoring. These black ones are old Genesis cabinets that I rebuilt and built in some speakers that are ideal for my purposes. So let's move on a little bit here. 1-inch 16 track. Whoops, I left my saxophone mouthpiece on there, and that thing's kind of get it's kind of sad that but these days these machines are I might use this machine 10 to 20% of the time, most of the time working on the computer, more on the 10 side lately even. So it's sad that these machines kind of sit here and things sit on top of them, but I do use it. Don't have the heart to get rid of it, of course, because it sounds great, especially for drums and bass. It does something magical to drums, and that's a discussion for another video. Let's keep moving. Here's a rack. Some stuff to be proud of, and some things to be ashamed of, but a lot of good compressors. Here's another rack with compressor. I use a lot of compression and some good reverb, some preamps, EQ, more preamps, more preamps. I keep an ADAT around because every once in a while, that's the same thing with a DAT, keep a DAT around because record player, it's good to listen to records on your playback, and also for transfers, and also some DJ kind of stuff. Here's another tape machine that has some stuff put on it, because I especially don't use this one. I'll use the 1-inch 8, 1-inch 16, sorry, quite a bit, but the 1/4-inch mixdown deck doesn't get used much anymore. Use a really cool, weird Digilab. Weird because you've never heard of it. Digilab is actually a Russian company, and that's a word clock, and it's a great clock. So you'll notice that I have an 003, which is nothing to brag about, but I use that external clock, and it really makes things sound good. And of course, I'm not really using the 003 preamps because I got that. So let's move on. Some of my personal instruments are strewn about the place. So the control room is up at the top of a set of stairs, kind of like a la Abbey Road. It just worked out that way. Here's the big room. Sort of pan around the big room a little here. Wood floors, brick walls, concrete ceiling. The great thing is the ceiling is at a pitch. Not just it's the same as the roof pitch, so there are no right angles. You can kind of see on that wall. That's pretty ideal for a studio. Very few right angles going on. And then we ended up all brick. Was a little too clangy, so we took it down a little. And this art, actually the art doubles as there's actually foam behind the art, so it kind of doubles as soundproofing. Here's some more playback speakers. Those are events. This is my favorite drum set. So it's usually set up. It's a Gretsch, it's a mid-60s Gretsch round badge. Some of my favorite drum mics live near the drums. These are overheads. These are some Gefell mics that were modified by my friends at AEG. So they are large diaphragm condensers, kind of like a U67. This is one of those sub-kick things. Oops. Extreme zoom. Go back here. The sub-kick. It works. Now this is my favorite kick mic. The Art & Technica Pro 25, I think. Try it out. You can still get them kind of cheap. They used to be super cheap, but now people are discovering them. So the 20-inch kick. Some people ask about that because you think you'd need a 22, 24. But no, 20-inch kick is plenty of boom. Just depends on the drum. Here's a piano that I intentionally leave out of tune. I don't like it too bad, but I love it a little out of tune. It's such a spice, such a flavor. But this piano stays like that. This is a pump organ that occasionally gets used a lot, occasionally not at all. The Ampeg B15. This is probably the one amp that gets used on everything. Just love it. Greatest bass amp ever made. There's a Nord over there. I hate to admit how much I use it, but I do. Because I'm a Hammond snob. That's my favorite little amp. It's a Citation. And then this little air organ, also made by Excelsior, so I couldn't help but get it, because it matches my Citation. Hammond. People say, is that a B3? And the answer is, yeah, sure. Because it's an A100, which is exactly the same as a B3 above, but the A100 had some built-in speakers, which I've actually disconnected. I don't even use them. So, but otherwise, the controls, the features, all the switches, it's a B3. So some people just know the word B3 or know that means the best Hammond. Although I would even argue that best is subjective. And then with a Leslie speaker, and this is the 145. I prefer it to the 122 or the 142. That's a whole other discussion. It's my headphone station. I run my headphones through the Sonic Maximizer. It really helps things sound a little more mastered for the people who are listening to the playbacks. Here's my friend Mike's Marshall, which he's probably never getting back. Just kidding. And that's a 112 cab it's sitting on. I can pull out a 412 if I got to. Here's my Fender. Oh, this is another long story, but it's a Fender. It's been black faced, meaning it's been rebuilt to the specs of the ones that had black panels on them. 66 and before. So this is a Bandmaster Reverb. I'll tell the story a little bit. That's a Kopek that I put in the master volume spot because I deleted the master volume. It's a Bandmaster Reverb that someone put in that cabinet. It looks kind of like a twin cab. It's got two 10s in it. And what I did was took it apart and rebuilt it into a 66 Super Reverb. Similar features. And so I took that as a project and it worked. Sounds great. Here's a Farfisa organ. Doesn't get used a lot, but man, it's cool. This is the Pink Floyd Farfisa. I actually have another Farfisa that's more of the cheesy Farfisa. This is the compact duo. But if you want to get some interstellar overdrive going, that's a monitor speaker, just in case you need a vocal in the room. Here's a booth. And this is one of the, this is also an AEG mic. The badge here. And it's a U47 clone, so it's endlessly handy, so it's always out. So the booth also has storage, pedals, percussion, and microphones. Bunch of amps, more vintage Fender, not vintage Marshall, but cool one, vintage Vox, Music Man, the Fender Pro Junior, which is a great amp, new and great. So if I'm using it as a booth, there's gobos, behind here there are gobos, and then there's these things hanging, and then I can hang that other moving blanket. It becomes very booth-like. I do most of my vocals in the big room. I like that natural reverb. Here's some of the mic selection. So here's the river mics live here. There's an RCA, Octava, Bayer, that's another Octava. So in these drawers we have Lomo, Octava, Red, a bunch of tube mics as well. I have probably about 8 tube mics altogether. This is a very handy fat condenser. This blue I never use. Oh, it's still here. And here's some dynamic mics down here. All the Shores. This Sony is a great dynamic mic. There are more mics strewn about. Kind of ubiquitous, is that the word? So you gotta have one of these for sure. SM7. Here's another booth, and this also doubles as storage. Here's a Telefunken clone, and the vintage, AKG style. That's my bass. There's a Bassman, an extra Ampeg cab, bunch of guitars, some saxophones. I suck on the saxophone, but I enjoy it. Some extra cabs. Behind these blankets, there is, can't even see, a bunch of stuff. There's another drum set, some snares, and stuff that doesn't get used often, so it's kept on shelves. Let's keep moving, keep it interesting. What else we get to show you? Oh yeah, I'll show you the keyboard collection over here. Here's a little booth. Throw an amp in here. Used for storage as well. Brings our booth count to 3. And then we can use this. This is the office, which is office-y things never get done in here anymore. This is the keyboard corral. Some vintage, some not. This is clients love this. This is my vintage Roland drum machine. Lots of fun. Some of my own instruments are stored in here. I play left-handed, so some left-handed Fenders and just things that it's a little drum and you use it once in a while. Where you keep the beer cold. Your best use for a Mac mini mixer is sitting dormant on your fridge. Alright, those are the essentials. There's a lot more tucked away, but I just wanted to introduce you to the studio, give a little walkthrough. Thanks for watching. Any questions, let me know. I'll show you the loft back there too, and the Schoen Hut toy piano, which makes it onto a lot of records. See here, there we and a broken sitar. And there's more and more and more, but we'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching.